Oh, landmines and jellyfish. Welcome back to Knives, I guess. And oh crap, I left my cigarettes in the microwave. Yeah, they'll be fine. So, TEMUGEDDON is upon us. It is episode 3 of the Temu edition of the Superbudget Showdown. And this is, of course, my quest to find the best knife I can for $15 or less. And many of these knives were significantly less than $15. And the wife picked almost all of them out for me. I didn't know what they were until they got here. There were a couple I did pick out just because I made sure they weren't clones. And some clones may show up with this, and for that, I do apologize. We filtered out everything that we could until we started running out of time, and I did what I could. So, we're going into this week with this knife right here. If you saw the preview, you know how it did. It did a pretty decent job of shaving hair off the back of my hand. The paper cut was pretty clean. The factory edge, I think, was about 8, 8.5 out of 10, something like that. And I carried it for a full week. And let's flick the bean. So you've got this nice, long, slender Tanto. It claims to be D2. And the blade stock is reasonably thin. It's got a bit of a, feels like a little slight hollow grind to it. And this thing, it carried. You got a frame lock here. Your pocket clip is tip up, which is the Lord's carry, and you've got this lanyard loop right here. And I thought this lanyard loop, with the edges not being broken down at all and being sharp enough to strike a fire steel with, would be a problem, but it wasn't. The problem showed up with the pocket clip. And I will tell you right now, you have no idea how many times your hand grazes your side over the course of the day until you have something like that right there, with the edges not being very well broken down, hitting you constantly. Like, this spot right here is a little bit raw from a whole week of this hitting my hand and just irritating the hell out of me. If I could find whoever designed this pocket clip, I would kick them in the groin so many times that their grandchildren would be born sterile. I hate this pocket clip so much. Everything else about it's been pretty decent. You know, the detent, when I did the preview, if you didn't flick it, like if you didn't preload the flick, you got that out of it. However, if you flick this with a normal amount of force, the way you would do when you're just sitting there using a knife, the detent got better. I'm guessing the pivot broke in a little bit, and it got better. Like, that feels clean. That is a clean bean flick. And flick the beam one more time. I took this to Cardboard Slayer, and that was interesting. I hit 155 cuts. I thought it was going to be maybe 70 or 80, but 155 cuts, and you can see where I've been stopping to check repeatedly, but like, you're seeing it, it is cutting the copy paper. Let's try that again. It's cutting, but there was some significant edge degradation. And let's try the newsprint, which, to my surprise, this stuff cuts easier than the copy paper does, and everybody doing this has used really thin, lightweight paper. I guess I've been doing it wrong, because, like, you can hear it. It's not the cleanest cut. You're not hearing that really clean, satisfying slide through the paper. It has degraded a good bit. However, that's still significantly more cuts than I thought just to get to that point. So this 300, while it's still an impressive performance, it's done significantly better than this. This still did a lot better than I thought it would. So I have to assume this is probably not some kind of weird super steel leftover from the factory that they were just trying to get rid of or something like that. You know, it probably is like a 9CR or something like that, just with a really good heat treat. And that's the thing with most modern knives, even with the cheap steels. There's been enough time that the heat treatment is just dialed in. You know, they know exactly what they're doing now because it's been around for so many years. So this thing did pretty decent with Cardboard Slayer. You know, I was getting cleaner cuts on the last take, but honestly, that's kind of more indicative of how much the edge is degraded. Like, I'm also not getting hair shaving off of the, I got one hair shaved off, and that's it. It didn't even scrape off anywhere near as much of the dead, dry, funky skin from where I don't use lotion. So it was still a pretty solid performance. The only real drawback I can see with this is this pocket clip. It's just straight trash. I hate this pocket clip so much. I mean, I hate it with the passion of 1,000 traffic jams and sharding while you're almost home. It's just so bad. But everything else about this was surprisingly decent. You know, even with the pocket clip being a source of irritation, I would still take it before I took this thing. And I'm sure in your pocket it would have been 4 or 5 times as bad because your hand hits that way more often than it does back on your right hip after the bone ends. You know, it's just I have to reach around to my back pocket to pull out my cutter at work constantly, so it was just grazing this all the damn time. And it's not that strong of a pocket clip either. Like this probably wouldn't take much if it got caught on something to just bend all the way out. So this puts this in a pretty comfortable second place right now. Of course, if you saw the video on this, you see why it hit first place. I will say aesthetically, this is much more pleasing. This thing, again, it's got a face only a flea market could love. Good God, it's hideous. That is one horrifying countenance. So this one looks a lot better. However, it didn't perform quite as well as this one. It still did way better than I expected. And yeah, that second place is real comfortable. I've got a feeling something can knock this out of second place, but I'm still worried that nothing is going to take first place away from this one. I don't want it to freight train the whole field, especially on the second one, but that's the nature of the beast here. So, yeah, this is what we got so far. 10th, 2nd, 1st. And tune in probably tomorrow. I'm going to do a preview of next week's knife so you guys can see what that's about, what it do before I put it through its week of carry. And I will say one other thing before I forget. The saran wrap cut. It started off good with cutting saran wrap off of pallets. However, after the first day and a half of just light use, it started tearing that single layer instead of cutting it. So the edge did degrade a little faster than I thought, but it kind of hung in there once it got that first little bit out of the way, which may have been just knocking a burr off for all I know. It held in there, but it degraded. So that's everything I wanted to cover with this. Again, second place. It's not bad. It's really not. If I was going to keep this and carry it, I'd probably take the pocket clip to a grinder and round it off and make it a lot more comfortable. But I'm never going to carry this again as a Temu knife. And I got to figure out what to do with all these. They're starting to pile up. But all that being said, thanks for looking at my crap. Subscribers, thank you so much. You guys keep showing up, and I'm so grateful. I am so grateful the guys watch this, get some entertainment out of it. That's what I'm doing this for. And the comments, thank you for the feedback. I love reading them. And all that being said, y'all have a nice day.